Hi, I'm Michaela, and welcome to the Space Between Titles. Today, we're going to be starting with a topic that's close to my heart, and I like to call that the eldest daughter effect. So, if you've ever felt like you were born to be responsible, then this one is for you. Growing up, I was the oldest. I always was striving for perfection. I always felt like I had to be on my A game. And that mindset didn't stop at home. It followed me into my schoolwork, even into my college years, and my grad era, and then also into my career. So I feel like we can all kind of relate to that as eldest daughters. And I remember my first big project at what I like to call my first big girl corporate job. And I felt like I had to have it all together. And it drove me to succeed, but it also drove me to burn out. So now I am 30 years old and I'm asking myself how much of that was really me. I've realized that being the eldest daughter became a huge part of my identity, but it's not the whole story. It's not entirely who I am. And I've had to unlearn some of those patterns to protect my energy and find clarity in what I want to do in life and who I am. And that has been really hard to unravel. I think that once you tie so much of your worth into your successes and failures, it takes a huge toll on your mental health and you don't even realize it at the time until you take a step back and it's just like, holy shit. um, but I want you to think about, I feel like one of the biggest things that I've had to think about is what roles I've carried that no longer serve me now and who I am now and my goals now, because my goals have definitely changed. Especially as I've realized that I don't have to be that people pleaser or that perfect person that has it all together. And I think that that has also been something that has been really hard for me when it comes to showing up online is, I mean, people like, people are attracted to vulnerability. They want to be able to relate to you. And if you come off as this perfect person who has everything all together all the time, you're not relatable because no one has all of their shit together all the time. No one does. And it makes you not relatable and it makes you someone that people don't want to follow. And that's been really hard for me because it's actually like painful for me to like show the vulnerable side. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but like I cannot, like it's like a cement wall and I cannot break through that wall. It has been so hard for me to get to the point where I'm like, okay, like it's okay to talk about like things that have happened to you and situations that disappointed you and like the troubles that you've had, the trauma that you've had. It's taken me 30 years to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I can open up about some of these things. And I am able to do that now, but it's like in pre-recorded moments that like you get to see a little bit of emotion, but it's not like me talking or like being in front of the camera and talking about things that hurt me. That side of the coin for me on the vulnerability is really hard for me to flip. And I feel like it's definitely relatable though. As hard as it is to show that vulnerability, it also is so important to remember that like we're all humans. We all have feelings. We're all vulnerable sometimes. We all have those insecurities or things that, we struggle with. And I just lately, I feel like I've really been able to see how much it affects me to not let that side of myself out. Like, even with my closest family, I struggle so much with it, and I don't know why, but I think a lot of it stems from always having to be the one that has her shit together. Always having to be the one who no one has to worry about. And I feel like that is the biggest blessing and curse at the same time, because no one worries about you. You have everything together. They know you're good. They know you're going to get through it. They know you're going to power through. They know you're going to be fine. And that's great that, that people have that confidence in you, that they know that you're going to just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you're going to power through. But it also is the biggest curse, because you just so badly want someone to see you and help you pull your bootstraps up. Because how exhausting is that to always have to do that by yourself? It's so exhausting. But people don't see the side of you that needs the help. They just see the side of you that always has everything all together. So they just assume you're good. But you also can't ask for help, because that's just a sign of weakness, and you shouldn't need to ask for help. And you also can't rely on other people. You have to do it yourself. I think it's hard to take those pieces of who you are out of who you really are. Because, like, yes, I will always be the oldest daughter. I'm the oldest daughter, the oldest granddaughter. I'm just the oldest sibling in general, the oldest child and the oldest grandchild. So I think that, that makes it really hard. That will always be who I am, just because, like, that, I mean, your birth order is your birth order, like, you're not going to change that. That's always going to be a part of who I am. But I really need to learn how to stop living in this constant state of perfectionism, people pleasing, and just being so hyper focused on the next thing. And I think that that is also something that I don't really hear a lot of women talk about, that, like, being who I am, I felt like I was always chasing the next thing. I would get a promotion at work and I could never enjoy it. It would be like, okay, I need to work towards the next one. And I'm not even kidding. It was like the next day, I'm on it. And I'm like, okay, how do I get to the next step and the next step and the next step? And it never ended, ever. And that is so exhausting, to live your life like that. But what I don't hear a lot of people talk about is the switch in your brain when you have kids. And suddenly it's not about the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Because suddenly it's, well, I want to do well at work. I love my career. I love my job. But I want to go to the spelling bee. I want to go to that sports practice every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And it's hard when you feel like you have the weight of the world, because it's not just your job anymore that's relying on you, but it's your children. That is so heavy to carry. I feel like I don't hear many people talk about that switch up, because it almost like is rewiring your brain to not be chasing the next step on the ladder. You're almost either staying stagnant, or for some people you're going down a few steps on the ladder, and for some people you're just jumping off that ladder. I'd like to hear more people talk about that, because I feel like that's something that I struggle with a lot, especially as there's, like, considerations to have more kids. And I just look at where I was when I had my kids 11 years ago and 9 years ago. And I was so caught up in trying to build my career so that I could make enough money because I had them so young. It was like I had to figure it out. And that's like, I got started in marketing so quickly, kind of fell into it, but got started in it so quickly and just dove headfirst into it because I was good at it and it made sense. But I also didn't have a choice. I didn't get to do that experimental phase where maybe you major in something and then change your mind 2 years into your degree program because you realize it's not for you. I didn't have a choice for marketing to not be for me because it just had to work. And I guess I never have really thought about it that way, but I think about, the survival mode that I was in for the entire time that they were growing up and that I'm still in for the most part. And I just don't want that to be the case if I do have more children. I look back at all the moments that I missed because I was just working all the time. And there were some moments with my youngest that I got to experience because I worked from home with him when he was little, but you never recover from just being in survival mode like that. Even if you are home, you're in survival mode. But I think that a lot of people can relate to this. And I think a lot of people have had to unlearn some of the patterns to protect your energy and to find clarity. And I think that it's important to explore the space between who we thought we had to be and who we're becoming. So I'm excited to dive into that in this podcast and explore that. And next time we're going to tackle the perfectionist trap. So until then, remember that it's okay to step outside your titles and do things that you love just because you love them. You don't have to be super good at them. You can just do things.